Thapelo Molefe kicked through the door of the burning building, smoke choking his lungs even through his mask. The call had said the condemned structure was empty, scheduled for demolition next week. But T-Rex had learned never to trust what slumlord said. His thermal camera showed nothing but heat signatures from the flames eating through the walls. He was about to retreat when he heard it, a sound that made him freeze mid-step. It wasn't a human cry. It was something else, something wild, primal, impossible. A roar, not loud, not powerful, weak, desperate, dying, and beneath it, a child sobbing. "Command, I got sounds inside. I'm going in." His radio crackled back with Station Commander Pete's gravelly voice. "Negative. T-Rex. Buildings coming down. Get out now." But Thapelo was already running toward the sound, toward the smoke, toward whatever impossible thing waited in the flames. Welcome to Mr. Bryan's Tale, where every story takes you on an unforgettable journey. Whether it's thrilling adventures, heartwarming moments, or tales that'll keep you on the edge of your seat, this is your destination for captivating storytelling. If you love getting lost in exciting narratives and discovering new worlds with every video, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss out on the next amazing tale. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. The alarm pierced the Hillbrow Fire Station at 11:47 p.m. Building Fire, 47, Kotze Street. Thapelo T-Rex Molefe was already moving before the second bell, muscle memory from 7 years on the job. But something tightened in his chest when he heard the address. Another Dlamini property. "It's that condemned building," Pete barked, pulling on his coat. "Supposed to be empty. Demolition scheduled for next week." The station commander's weathered face was skeptical. "Probably squatters said it. Quick in and out, T-Rex. Don't be a hero." T-Rex touched his St. Florian medal hanging beneath his shirt. Manless medal, worn smooth by 5 years of grief. His brother had died in a Dlamini building. Everyone said it was an accident. T-Rex knew better. The truck screamed through Johannesburg's dark streets, past night markets and tired buildings of Hillbrow. Smoke was visible 3 blocks away, orange flames licking through third-floor windows. Crowds gathered despite the late hour, residents filming on phones, children pointing at the spectacle. "Structures compromised," reported Lindive, their engineer, reading thermal signatures. "We've got maybe 20 minutes before major collapse." T-Rex pulled on his mask, checked his oxygen. Through the visor, he saw faces in the crowd, exhausted, poor, afraid. These were Dlamini's tenants, the people nobody protected. 2 teams, Pete ordered. Perimeter check, no interior entry. Buildings coming down anyway. But as T-Rex approached the entrance, he heard something that made him stop. Through the roar of flames, through the shouts and sirens, something else. A cry, weak, desperate, impossible. A roar, and beneath it, a child sobbing. He was inside before Pete could stop him. Heat slammed into T-Rex like a physical blow. The hallway was an oven, wallpaper peeling in blackened strips, ceiling sagging under its own weight. His thermal camera showed nothing but white-hot signatures. The building was fully involved. "T-Rex, get out." Pete's voice crackled in his radio. "That's an order." He ignored it. The sound was coming from below, from the basement. The crying was clearer now. Definitely a child's voice, screaming in Shona. "Simba! Simba!" His Lionheart. A nickname? A toy? The stairs groaned under his weight. Smoke rolled up like a living thing, thick and toxic. His training screamed at him to retreat. His instinct pushed him forward. Manla's voice echoed in his memory. "Thapelo, I can't breathe. Please." He'd been on shift that night. He hadn't saved him. The basement was a maze of storage rooms and condemned shops. The sound pulled him left, deeper into the smoke. His oxygen gauge blinked yellow. 15 minutes left. The floor was hot enough to feel through his boots. Then he saw the door. Metal, reinforced, padlocked from the outside. Someone had locked this room. T-Rex swung his Halligan bar. The lock shattered. He kicked the door open and stumbled into a scene from a nightmare. A small boy, maybe 8 years old, huddled in the corner, clutching something golden and furry. The child's face was streaked with soot and tears. But it was the creature in his arms that made T-Rex's mind stutter. A lion cub, barely 3 months old, panting, terrified, its amber eyes reflecting the flames. "Help us," the boy sobbed in English. "Please." They locked us in. T-Rex grabbed them both and ran toward the stairs as the ceiling began to collapse. T-Rex burst to the front entrance, cradling the boy and cub just as the 3rd floor caved in. Flames shot skyward, raining burning debris. He dropped to his knees on the street, oxygen depleted, lungs burning. Hands pulled off his mask. Lindau's face appeared, shocked. "Boss, what the—" The boy was unconscious, overcome by smoke. The lion cub writhed weakly in T-Rex's arms, its heartbeat rapid and faint. The crowd surged forward, phones out, voices rising, confusion and disbelief. "Is that a lion? Where did it come from? Hey, what was that child doing with a lion?" Pete pushed through, his face purple with fury and fear. "Molefe, what in God's name?" He stopped when he saw the cub, his mouth open and closed. That's impossible." "Paramedics." T-Rex shouted, placing the boy on the ground. 2 EMTs rushed over with oxygen. The boy's mother appeared from the crowd, screaming, dropping to her knees beside her son. Kaya, baby." She sobbed in Shona, then turned to T-Rex with wild eyes. "You saved him. Oh, God, you saved my baby." "Ma'am, what was your son doing in that building?" T-Rex asked gently. "It was condemned. And the lion—" Her face shut down immediately. Fear replaced relief. "I don't know. He must have been playing. Children are foolish." Her eyes flicked to someone in the crowd, and T-Rex followed her gaze. A large man in an expensive jacket, cold eyes, watching. Sifo the Fist Radebe, Blamini's enforcer. The door was padlocked on the outside. T-Rex said quietly, "Someone locked your son inside a burning building." The woman's jaw trembled. "I know nothing. Please, leave us alone." She gathered Kaya and disappeared into the crowd. The lion cub whimpered in T-Rex's arms. Back at the station, Pete's office felt like an interrogation room. The station commander sat behind his desk, thick arms crossed, jaw set. Outside, the sky was lightening toward dawn. "You defied direct orders, Molefe." "I heard a child crying." "In a building I specifically told you was empty." "It wasn't empty." "And the lion—" Pete leaned back, his chair creaking. "You expect me to believe a child had a pet lion in a condemned Hillbrow apartment? I brought it out. There are witnesses. Videos. Videos can be faked. Maybe you brought it from somewhere else. Staged a dramatic rescue." The old man's eyes were hard. "You've been obsessed with Dlamini since your brother died. I warned you about that." T-Rex felt heat rising in his chest. "Mandla's death was an accident. You know it wasn't." The investigation cleared. The investigation was buried. T-Rex slammed his hand on the desk. "Just like this one will be. That door was padlocked from the outside. Pete, someone locked that boy and that animal in that building, and then lit it on fire. You don't know that. The fire started in 3 locations simultaneously. I saw the burn patterns. This was arson." Pete was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer, almost sad. "You're a good firefighter, T-Rex. Maybe the best I've trained. But you see conspiracies everywhere. That child probably broke into play, found a stray animal, and got trapped when the fire started. A lion cub? In Hillbrow? Stranger things have happened." Pete stood. "Go home, get some rest, and stay away from this case. That's not a suggestion." T-Rex walked out, Mandla's metal burning against his chest. He wasn't staying away. T-Rex found Naledi Kumalo at the Daily Sun offices 2 days later. The journalist was younger than he expected, maybe 30, with short natural hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Her desk was chaos. Stacks of files, newspaper clippings, a map of Hillbrow covered in red pins. "Thapelo Molefe," she said when he introduced himself. "The firefighter who pulled a lion out of a burning building." You're famous now." She gestured to her computer screen. The rescue video had 500,000 views. "I need your help. I don't do puff pieces about hero firefighters. I'm not here for puff." T-Rex pulled out a folder. Photocopies he made from old case files. Johannes Dlamini. You know the name? Naledi's expression changed. She leaned forward. "Keep talking." 6 fires in 8 years. All Dlamini properties. All ruled accidental. 12 people dead, including my brother. He spread photos across her desk. The building that burned 2 nights ago? Same pattern. Multiple points of origin, accelerant indicators, suspicious circumstances. And it gets better. He showed her photos he'd taken of the basement. Cages, veterinary equipment, import documents written in Portuguese. He's not just burning buildings for insurance money, T-Rex said. He's running something else from those basements. That LION CUB didn't just wander in. Naledi studied the documents, her mind clearly racing. Wildlife trafficking. Jesus, that would explain the trips to Mozambique. She pulled up files on her computer. I've been investigating Dlamini for 2 years. Insurance fraud, bribery, intimidation. But I could never prove it. Witnesses disappear or refuse to talk. The boy's mother knows something. She's terrified. Dlamini's enforcer was at the fire scene. Saifo Radebe, watching. Naledi smiled grimly. Then we've got him interested. Good. Scared people make mistakes. What do? We build a case he can't burn down. Themba Nkosi, the wildlife officer, met them at the veterinary clinic where Simba was being held. Dr. Sarah Chun, a Chinese South African vet with quick hands and a stern face, had the cub sedated on an examination table. Poor thing's malnourished and dehydrated. Dr. Chun said, checking the cub's teeth, maybe 10 weeks old. Separated from his mother way too early. She showed them a small scar behind the cub's ear. This is a tracking chip. Smugglers use them to inventory their stock. Themba scanned it with a device. Mozambique, shipped 3 weeks ago to a buyer in Johannesburg. Part of a larger shipment. 2 lion cubs, 3 pangolins, and rhino horn. The shipment went dark after cross a border. He looked at T-Rex. This little guy is evidence in an international trafficking case. Can you trace the buyer? Naledi asked, filming on her phone. Working on it. But I can tell you the delivery address on the manifest. Themba pulled up a map. 47 Katsa Street, Hillbrow, the building that just burned. T-Rex felt vindication surge through him. Dlamini was using condemned buildings as storage for illegal trafficking. When the heat got too close, literally or figuratively, he burned them down, destroyed evidence, and collected insurance. 12 people died in those fires. Naledi said quietly, collateral damage. Dr. Chen's jaw tightened. I've seen this before. Traffickers don't value human life any more than animal life. If people are in the way, they're just loose ends. We need to connect Dlamini directly to the trafficking, T-Rex said. Financial records, witnesses, something. The boy, Naledi said. Kaya. He was in that basement with Simba. He saw something. His mother won't talk. She's terrified. Then we make her less terrified of us than she is of Dlamini. Finding Zanil Moyo wasn't hard. Finding her willing to talk was another matter. She lived in a cramped room in Yeovil. 12 people sharing a 3-bedroom apartment. All Zimbabwean immigrants navigating the dangerous gray zone of undocumented life in South Africa. When T-Rex knocked, she opened the door a crack, saw him, and tried to slam it. He caught it with his boot. Please. 5 minutes. I saved your son's life. And I thank you. Now leave us alone. Kaya saw something in that basement. That's why Dlamini locked him inside. He's tying up loose ends. Fear flickered across her face. I don't know any Dlamini. Yes, you do. You rent from him. You work night shifts cleaning his properties. You accidentally saw something you weren't supposed to see, and he knows it. Zanil's shoulder sagged. Behind her, Kaya appeared, his small face still bearing oxygen burn marks. The boy looked at T-Rex with old eyes, too knowing for 8 years. The animals were screaming, Kaya said quietly. in the cages downstairs. They kept me and Mama in a room upstairs, but I could hear them. I went down one night to give them water. Kaya, no, Zanil pleaded. The big man with the scar, Sifo, he caught me. He was angry. He said I was a problem. The boy's voice was steady, matter of fact. He locked me in a room with the baby lion. He said the fire would take care of both of us. T-Rex crouched to the boy's level. Kaya, you're very brave. Will you tell this to a police officer? The child looked at his mother. Zanil was crying silently. If I testify, she whispered, he'll have us deported or killed. Not if he's in prison first. Nality said from the doorway. Pete showed up at T-Rex's apartment at midnight. The station commander looked older than usual, tired lines deepening around his eyes. He held a worn file folder. I'm going to regret this, Pete muttered, pushing past T-Rex into the small flat. He dropped the folder on the table. Manla's original case file. Before it was cleaned up, T-Rex's heart stopped. How did you? I kept a copy. Against regulations. Against orders. The old man sat heavily. Your brother's death haunted me. T-Rex. Something didn't sit right. But I had 30 years on the force. Pension coming up, a wife with medical bills. I told myself the investigation was thorough. I told myself to trust the system. He opened the folder. Inside were photos T-Rex had never seen. Burn patterns clearly showing accelerant pour, multiple point of origin. The building's electrical system intact despite claims of faulty wiring. Inspector Bota signed off on accidental causes, Pete said. He's been signing off on Dlamini fires for 8 years. I checked. Every single one. You knew. I suspected. I didn't act. Shame twisted the older man's face. I was a coward. I protected my career instead of the truth. But watching you pull that child from flames... He looked up. You're everything I should have been. Everything your brother needed me to be. T-Rex sat down slowly. Why now? Because I found something else. Pete pulled out another document. Dlamini applied for demolition permits on 4 more buildings. All fast-tracked. All scheduled for next month. He's accelerating. Burning his empire before investigation catches up. We have 3 weeks to stop him. We... Pete smiled grimly. I've been a coward long enough. Time to be a firefighter again. Sifo Radabe cornered T-Rex outside the station 3 days later. The enforcer was massive, 6'4" and built like a truck, with a scar bisecting his left cheek. 2 other men flanked him. You're making Mrs. Dlamini unhappy, Sifo said conversationally, asking questions, talking to journalists, harassing tenants. Rescuing children from burning buildings, T-Rex added. Don't forget that part. Accidents happen. Buildings catch fire. Sad but not criminal. Padlocked doors aren't accidents. Sifo smiled without warmth. You can't prove that. And even if you could, who would believe you? A traumatized firefighter obsessed with his dead brother, seeing conspiracies everywhere. He stepped closer. Your station commander already thinks you're unstable. One more complaint, one more accusation without evidence, and you'll be finished. I have evidence. A lion cub could have come from anywhere. A scared immigrant woman? She'll recant or disappear. Journalists. He shrugged. Accidents happen to them too. T-Rex felt rage building, but kept his voice level. Is that a threat? It's friendly advice. Mr. Dlamini is a patient man, but his patience has limits. Sifo leaned in, his breath hot. Your brother didn't listen either. Look where that got him. T-Rex snapped. His fist caught Sifo's jaw before his brain caught up. The enforcer staggered back, more shocked than hurt. The 2 men grabbed T-Rex, slammed him against the wall. See, Sifo said, wiping blood from his lip. Unstable, violent. Maybe you need a psychiatric evaluation. He gestured, and his men released T-Rex. Stay away from Mr. Dlamini's properties. Stay away from his tenants. Or next time we won't be so friendly. They walked away, leaving T-Rex shaking with fury and fear. He just made everything worse. Chapter 10. The plan, 290 words. The team met in Naledi's apartment, drawn curtains and hushed voices. Pete, Naledi, Themba, Dr. Chun, and T-Rex crowded around the journalist's laptop. "We have pieces, not proof," Naledi said, pulling up her investigation notes. "We have burn patterns, a trafficking shipment, one brave child's testimony, and corrupt fire inspectors. But none of it connects definitively to Dlamini. Financial records would," Dr. Chin suggested. "Follow the money. Insurance payouts, property purchases, offshore accounts." "I've tried," Naledi said. "His lawyers are too good. Everything's hidden behind shell companies and trusts." "What about the other fires?" Pete asked. "If we can prove a pattern, show that 12 deaths over 8 years all connected to Dlamini properties." "Circumstantial," Themba countered. "His lawyers will argue bad luck. Poor tenants causing accidents." T-Rex stared at the map of Hillborough on the wall, the red pins marking fire sites. Then he saw it. They're all on the same city block. 5 buildings, all within 300 meters. "So," Naledi asked, "so there's a reason. These aren't random properties." He's clearing a path. T-Rex traced the pattern. What if the fires aren't just insurance fraud? What if he's burning out tenants to redevelop the entire area? Naledi's eyes widened. She pulled up city planning documents. Holy hell, there's a proposed development. Luxury apartments, shopping center, the whole gentrification package. Submitted 8 months ago. She scrolled down. The developer listed is Meridian Property Group. Who owns Meridian? Pete asked. Themba was already searching. Registered in the Seychelles, primary shareholder. His face fell. Johannes Dlamini. He's not just destroying evidence, T-Rex said slowly. He's building an empire on ashes. And 12 people died to clear the land. They had their motive. The next Dlamini building was scheduled for demolition in 4 days. T-Rex spent every waking hour investigating, documenting, preparing. Naledi worked her contacts, pulling records and interviewing former Dlamini employees. Themba coordinated with international wildlife authorities. Dr. Chin prepared forensic reports on Simba, but time was running out. Inspector Bota rejected our arson investigation request. Pete announced grimly, claims insufficient evidence. And I got called to a disciplinary hearing. They're suspending me pending investigation into inappropriate conduct. Dlamini's lawyers are moving fast, Naledi said. They filed harassment complaints against both of you. And Zanil called me last night. Immigration officers showed up at her door randomly. She's terrified. T-Rex felt the walls closing in. He's dismantling us piece by piece. We need to go public, Naledi decided. Publish what we have. Force a real investigation. It's not enough, Themba argued. A good lawyer will shred it. We need something definitive. A confession, financial records, something ironclad. We're not getting that in 4 days. T-Rex stood abruptly. Then we make him give it to us. Everyone turned. We can't get into his files legally. We can't force him to confess. But we can make him think we already have everything. T-Rex's mind raced. What if we leak a fake story? Say we recovered financial records from the basement, that we've traced accounts, that arrests are imminent. That's a bluff, Pete said. Exactly. And when you're bluffing, you bet big. We force him to react, to make mistakes, to expose himself trying to cover tracks that don't need covering. Naledi smiled slowly. You want to make him panic. I want to make him burn himself down. Poetic, Dr. Chin said, and insane. I love it. For days, T-Rex said. Let's make them count. Naledi's headline dropped like a bomb. Exclusive. Fire Marshal uncovers Hillborough trafficking ring. Financial evidence points to prominent developer. The article was carefully crafted fiction mixed with truth. It claimed investigators had recovered ledgers, bank statements, and shipping manifests from the Kotza Street basement before the fire destroyed them. It named Dlamini's shell companies, alleged offshore accounts, and suggested multiple arrest warrants pending. None of it was true, but it sounded devastating. Within hours, Dlamini's lawyers issued denials. But T-Rex was watching for something else, panic behavior, and He got it. Themba's wildlife contact reported unusual activity. Someone attempting to move trafficking shipments ahead of schedule, scrambling to reroute deliveries. Dr. Chin received an anonymous call offering money to lose Simba's chip data. Nowadays, sources reported Sifo making rounds of properties, urgently removing materials. Most tellingly, Inspector Botha suddenly approved early demolition on 2 buildings, moving up the timeline from weeks to days. He's in cleanup mode, Pete observed, watching surveillance footage of Sifo and 2 workers entering a condemned building with barrels, destroying evidence that doesn't even exist. The bluff is working. Now we catch him in the act, T-Rex said. That night, they staked out the building, a derelict apartment block on Pretoria Street scheduled for demolition at dawn. T-Rex, Pete, and Themba watched from across the street as Sifo and his crew set up inside. They're staging another fire, Pete breathed. We're watching arson in real time. Call it in, T-Rex said to Themba. Police, fire department, media. Everyone. What if they don't come? What if the Laminis bought them off? Then we film it ourselves and plaster it everywhere. Naledi raised her phone, recording. Inside the building, orange light flickered. The fire had started. The sirens arrived faster than expected. Not just fire trucks, but police news vans, even a SAP's tactical unit. Someone high up had taken the bait. Sifo and his crew bolted from the building, straight into waiting officers. T-Rex and his team moved in with the fire crews. The blaze was contained quickly. Sifo hadn't had time to set it properly. Inside, they found the evidence. Barrels of accelerant, trafficking cages hastily dismantled, and in a panic rush to destroy documents, a laptop left behind. This is everything, Themba said, scrolling through files. Shipping manifests, payment records, correspondence with Mozambique suppliers. And look, he pulled up emails. Direct orders from Dlamini. Clear the properties by any means. Ensure no witnesses. The boy is a liability, Naledi read over his shoulder, her voice tight. Handle it before demolition. That's about Kaya. He ordered his death. Police arrested Sifo on site, under interrogation, and facing murder charges. The enforcer broke. He gave up Dlamini, Inspector Botha, 3 city councilors, and a judge. The empire collapsed in 72 hours. Dlamini was arrested at his Santon mansion, still in silk pajamas, surrounded by lawyers. The perp walk made national news. T-Rex watched from the station, Pete beside him. You did it, the station commander said quietly. You got justice for Manla, for all of them. But T-Rex didn't feel triumphant. He felt hollow. 12 people died before we stopped him. 12 families destroyed. 12 families who finally have truth. That matters. On screen, reporters swarmed Dlamini. The developer's carefully constructed image was rubble. His empire, built on ashes and blood, had burned to nothing. Manla will be proud, Pete said. T-Rex touched the metal beneath his shirt. Maybe now his brother could rest. The trial lasted 6 months. T-Rex testified about the burn patterns, the padlocked doors, Kaya's rescue. Zanil found courage, her testimony devastating. Other families came forward. 12 deaths became faces, names, stories. Themba presented trafficking evidence. Dr. Chin explained Simba's origins. Dlamini's lawyers fought hard, but the laptop files were ironclad. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. 12 counts of murder, multiple counts of arson, fraud, trafficking, bribery. 15 years minimum, likely 25 with good behavior. His assets seized, properties liquidated, empire dissolved. Inspector Botha and 3 officials also received prison sentences. Sifo, in exchange for testimony, got 12 years. Outside the courthouse, Naledi's article was already published. The Hillborough Infernos, Justice After 8 Years of Ashes. It won awards. More importantly, it sparked investigation into similar patterns in other cities. Zanil and Kaya received asylum status, housing assistance, and compensation from Dlamini's liquidated estate. The other victims' families split the remainder. Not enough to replace loved ones, but enough to rebuild lives. Simba was rehabilitated at a sanctuary outside Hoedspruit. Dr. Chen sent updates. The cub was thriving, learning to hunt, growing strong. Plans were underway to eventually release him into a protected reserve in Botswana. The Johannesburg Fire Department underwent investigation and reform, new protocols, independent arson investigators, protection for whistleblowers. Pete retired with full honors, his pension restored. In his final speech, he said, "I learned from a young firefighter that courage isn't about following orders. It's about following conscience." And T-Rex? The department offered him a promotion, Chief Fire Marshal for Hillbrow District, the place his brother died, the place he'd saved Kaya, the place where justice finally burned brighter than corruption. He accepted, for Mamla, for all of them, for everyone who needed someone to lock on and never let go. 1 year later, T-Rex stood in front of the old Meridian property site, the plot where 5 buildings once stood, where 12 people died, where Dlamini built his empire of ashes. But it wasn't ashes anymore. The city had seized the land and partnered with community organizations. Now, construction crews were building something new: affordable housing, a community center, a fire safety training facility, and a memorial garden. 12 trees, one for each victim. Mamla's name carved in stone. "It's beautiful," Zanil said beside him, Kaya holding her hand. The boy was taller now, healthier, eyes brighter. "Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for being brave enough to speak." Kaya tugged his mother's sleeve. "Mama, can I show Mr. T-Rex?" The boy pulled out a tablet, opened a video call. On screen, Simba, now nearly full-grown, magnificent mane beginning to show, lounged in golden grassland. Dr. Chen waved from beside the lion. "He remembers you," she called. "Watch." She said something, and Simba's ears pricked. The lion looked directly at the camera, made a sound between a chuff and a roar. Kaya laughed. "He says hello." T-Rex felt something loosen in his chest. The cub he'd pulled from the flames was thriving. The boy he'd saved was thriving. The system that had failed Manlo was changing. Not perfectly, not completely, but changing. Pete appeared, walking with a cane now, but smiling. "Chief Marshal Molefe, you're needed at the training center. New recruits need a speech." T-Rex nodded. He touched Manla's tree one more time, the metal warm against his chest. Then he walked toward the future, toward trainees he'd teach to be brave, to question, to never let go when someone needs saving. Behind him, 12 trees grew toward the sky. From ashes, life. From flames, justice. From one man's courage, a city transformed. Thapelo T-Rex Molefe didn't just save a boy and a lion cub that night. He exposed a system of corruption that had claimed 12 innocent lives over 8 years. His refusal to accept accident as an answer, his courage to defy orders when conscience demanded it, and his relentless pursuit of truth brought down an empire built on ashes and blood. Johannes Dlamini's 15-year prison sentence sent shockwaves through South Africa's property development industry. The case sparked nationwide investigations into suspicious building fires, leading to 17 additional arrests and sweeping reforms in fire safety protocols. Hillbrow, once synonymous with danger and neglect, became a symbol of community resilience and systemic change. But perhaps the most powerful legacy is simpler. One person can make a difference. T-Rex was just a firefighter haunted by his brother's death. He had no special powers, no unlimited resources, just an unshakable belief that justice mattered more than orders, that truth mattered more than convenience, and that the vulnerable deserved a protector who would never let go. Today, Kaya is studying to become a wildlife conservationist. Simba roams free in the Botswana Reserve, and 12 trees grow tall in Hillbrow's Memorial Garden, reminding everyone who passes that from the darkest flames, hope can rise. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is refuse to accept what everyone else calls inevitable. What did you think of T-Rex's story? Would you have had the courage to defy orders and run into that burning building? Drop a comment below and let me know. Don't forget to follow at Bryan Tales for more incredible true stories of courage, justice, and the people who changed the world by refusing to give up. Share this story if it moved you. Someone in your network needs to hear it today.